Hi, this is Rachel, my Blue and Gold Macaw, and how noisy and loud are macaws? Let me tell you all about it. So, when it comes to volume, macaws, being the biggest of parrots, are also the loudest of parrots. They can let off a scream that's like a train horn that can be heard from many houses away. After all, in the forest, they call for quite long distances to call to each other to be able to relocate the rest of their flock. However, at home, that may not be so beneficial, and in fact, your friends, family, and neighbors might not appreciate it. Now, what is it like living with such a noisy, loud animal? I couldn't really tell you because Rachel, luckily, is on the quiet side. She's about as quiet as any macaw and really any parrot can be for that matter. We got really lucky in that sense, in that Rachel is just particularly quiet macaw, and that is all individualistic. Some macaws can be noisy all throughout the day and be real noisemakers, while others may be fairly silent. Now, don't get me wrong, if Rachel wants to let off a good scream, she can let it off and she can be heard from quite far away. But she's not very persistent and she's not obsessive about making those calls, which makes it definitely a lot more manageable. However, these aren't things that you can necessarily predict or even expect if you're ever involved with a macaw. In fact, it's better to assume that it's much more likely that they will be quite loud and quite noisy. And it's only a bonus when they aren't. Some macaws can be letting off those train horn sized screams for hours throughout a day. Sometimes they do it because they're calling. It could be because they're calling for other birds. It could be because they're calling for their favorite human. And sometimes it could be out of boredom and nothing better to do. And sometimes it could just be because they love the sound of their own voice and they enjoy letting off those screams. So don't necessarily think that you can eliminate them. Now, how can we help mitigate and reduce the likelihood the macaw will become noisy? Well, this is where teaching them to be self occupied really helps. Providing them an abundance of easy to chew fun toys and enrichment in their enclosure can really help moderate them down and give them something to work on. In addition, exercising them and keeping them engaged and busy when you are ready to spend time with them is also great. Have that macaw do some flying and exercise and challenging activities when you are able to spend time with that bird so that the bird can be a little bit more chilled and relaxed and enjoy a break afterward when you are not ready to spend one on one time. But regardless of how much time you do or don't spend with that bird or the kind of activities you provide, it still comes down to their personality. So definitely provide them things to do to help give them an alternative to that screaming. But at the same time, don't be looking for a macaw if you live in an apartment or a place where it would be absolutely impossible to have such a loud and potentially noisy animal. Rachel's a really sweet macaw, and again, I got really lucky that she's so quiet. But I was prepared for that. I have a separate dedicated bird room, so my birds are a little bit more isolated. And when they do want to scream, they are welcome to. And luckily, by not being so concerned about it, it never developed into much of a concern or issue. Now, it's not really possible to know in advance with a baby macaw if it will grow up into being a quiet or noisy macaw that lets off those loud screams persistently throughout the day. Consider an adult from a rescue or being rehomed because you can discover that bird's history if it is known to be a noisy or a more quiet macaw. This is not guaranteed that in a new home, new environment, or with new people that this won't change, but it is much more likely than just assuming that a quiet baby will stay quiet forever. So be sure to support local parrot rescues and learn more about macaws and parrots in general before jumping into any decision. Lots more education and learning about parrots and parrot training and parrot behavior from the Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots and videos and supplies that you can find at parrotwizard.com. Thanks for watching.